Yeah, Coco. Hi, welcome to my eclectic channel. My name is Agnes and I make videos for fun. We've been working on one of those little numbers. Last time we made a mock-up and we did a fitting and we started modifying the pattern. One thing we need is a small bust adjustment. Even though it's often not mentioned, sewing patterns come with a cup size to accommodate various levels of voluptuousness up top. If it's a standard size pattern and there's no mention of cup size, you can assume it's a B cup. Cups in sewing patterns are not defined the same as the bra cup, so you can't use that directly. Instead of using the difference between the full bust and the under bust, as is usually done with bras, sewing patterns will use the full bust versus above the bust measurement. The more difference there is between the two, the higher the cup size. I've already made a couple garments based off of standard patterns, and I've noticed that they were tight around my shoulders. Like when I try to fold my arms in, it's a little tight. The armholes dig in. And I've been misinterpreting this as meaning that I needed to cut wider armholes and that I was just broad-shouldered. And that really surprised me because when I buy garments off the rack, the shoulder seams are often off my shoulder. As a matter of fact, on this very cardigan, I did a small adjustment to bring the seam where it needs to be at my shoulders, bring it up. And also shoulder bags don't stay on my shoulders. So yeah, it was kind of surprising to me that my broad athletic shoulders would be the issue. And I was wrong all along. I actually need a small bust adjustment, which makes a lot more sense. But it's counterintuitive. So I'm going to be trying my first small bust adjustment on this pattern. It presents a special challenge because this has princess seams. But I did find a tutorial that shows how to do a small bust adjustment precisely on a princess seam garment. It is precisely for the adjustment that I need a B cup down to an A cup, which removes half an inch at each seam, meaning an inch overall at the full bust. So let's try it. So I've taken my side piece here, and the first thing you need to do is to mark the apex, like the point along the princess seam. You want to mark the point where I'm at the seam allowance. So if I drew the seam allowance, it'd be this line that's about 1 centimeter away from the edge, so my point is there. And vertically, it's marking the full bust. So I used the empirical method where I just put this on my body and I just marked where the tip of my bra was, pretty much. So I get that point. Another thing I did is I marked the waist. So this has an indentation on the side seam where the waist is, and a slight one here at the princess seam where the waist is. So I drew a horizontal line between these 2 points. So I know where my waist is and I know where the full bust is. Next we have to draw 2 lines. One is from the point that I marked to the top of that seam. I mean, that's my princess seam, and in this case it goes to the shoulder. Sometimes it will go into the armhole, doesn't matter. So I want to measure here my seam allowance. And then draw from that point to where I marked the seam allowance. So I'm not following the seam allowance, I'm going in a straight line. And then the other line to draw is down to the waist. And at the waist, I want to again determine my seam allowance. And then I want to go in another what did you say, 1/4 of an inch. I have a ruler in centimeters. I should really decide here. But yeah, 1/4 of an inch is 6 millimeters. So I'm going to measure here another 6 millimeters here. So here it makes the second point. A seam allowance plus 1/4 of an inch of the edge, and you draw another line. I really hope this is going to work. I actually have no idea. So I'm going to go ahead and cut at the waist. The tutorial I'm following does not have anything below the waist. She's working on a bodice of some sort. So magic, look at that. I cut that. So we have the line that we made here, and we're going to draw another line. So for that line, I made a big deal about it being 1/4 of an inch from the seam allowance. It really doesn't matter. You just want it inside the seam allowance. So about 1/4 of an inch. Now the next measurement really does matter. We want to go another 1/2 an inch. That's the difference between a B cup and an A cup. So you want to go, for me it's going to be 1.2 centimeters, another 1.2 centimeters from where I was, and mark that. And then we want to draw a line. I know I have already a line here. That one is wrong. I'll cross it out. Because the next line I want to draw is from that point I just marked. And I want to go parallel to that first line that I made. And so, I think I'll eyeball it. I go from here, parallel. And I'm going to go up to, so there was this line. And I stop at that first line that we drew from the apex to the shoulder. So I stop right there. Next, we want to mark a point at the shoulder that is that's along the line that we drew, but it needs to be a seam allowance away from the shoulder seam. So my seam allowance is 1/2 an inch, which is again 1.2 centimeter. And then you cut along the line that we first drew. Cut to the apex. Keep going, say I already cut. And then cut to where you get to that point that we just made. So now this is separated and it goes up to 1 seam allowance away at the shoulder. And we want this to be able to swivel around. So one thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut from the other side, from the shoulder up to that point. So it's almost separated, but not quite. But now this piece can move freely. So bring it in. Swivel, swivel. And we want to bring it in to where this line is aligning with the line that we drew. And you notice that it's entirely impossible right now because the slope is simply not right. I can bring this here to the line, but then it's going in too much. So we need to create another swivel point. So I'm going to cut here to the hinge at the full bust, and I'm going to bring this in to where my full bust point comes on that line and secure. And then this here is free to move. Swivel, swivel. So I'm going to bring it so that it aligns with the line that we drew, that 1/2 an inch that we took out, that we reduced along that princess seam. So there's our seam, our new pattern shape. So we just need to even out a few things. This here sticking out, so I'll just take that out. So this was the textbook small bust adjustment on a princess seam. So we're ready to bring back the bottom piece, and you notice that I have lost 1/2 an inch at the waist. So that's going to be a full inch at the waist. And I can't do that. Like the bust is too big, the waist was not too roomy. So I think what I need to do is to do my swivel a little differently. I'll take that out. And when I swivel this, I have that piece here that's free to move. So I did reduce my bust because this point used to be over here. So right at the tip, at the widest of the bust, I have removed 1/2 inch. So I've achieved that, and that's good. But I don't want to take that 1/2 inch all the way down to the waist. So when I put back my band and I swivel it inward, I'm not going to go to the line that I drew. I'm going to go to where I bring it back to where the waist is. And I think that will work. So let me secure a few things in place and do it that way. So cutting out the waist was necessary. That was a good step that I took. So I'm going to put this back. And then I'm going to swivel this, bring it to where it's lining up with the waist right there, and I can paste it. And now I have a whole piece again, reduced by by 1/2 inch at the full bust, but brought out to the full original waist measurement. We're not quite done with the small bust adjustment. We also need to work on the piece that joins with the one that we just worked on, and we'll do that next time. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more.